All right, welcome back to part 3 of the videos of trying to answer what are the coordinates of the vertices of triangle X, Y, and Z. And so I wanted to go over the question fairly briefly and then get right into a second way, a second method that you can use to answer these type of questions. So the coordinates of a triangle PQR are P is 1 and 2, Q is 3 and 3, and R is 2 and 4. If the triangle PQR is translated 2 units to the right and 1 unit down and then reflected across the x-axis to obtain triangle XYZ, what are the coordinates of the vertices of triangle X, Y, and Z? So in review, here are the options. Remember, transformations with an S are consisted of reflection, rotation, and translation. The options are A, B, C, D, and E. And if you watch part 1 and part 2, I talked about a test-taking strategy. If anytime you reflect over the x-axis, anytime, then your y values, like in option C and option E, will always be negative. They will always be negative when you reflect across the x-axis. So the test-taking strategy here is you can eliminate A, B, and D. There are no negative y values here, right? And in option C and E, those are the only two options because those are the only two negative values. So if I had to guess C and D, there's only two options. I have a 50% chance I'm going to guess that answer right. If I could get those odds in Vegas, I would be a very rich man. All right. Again, thank you for joining me. I'd like to go over a second method in being able to answer these questions. In the last video of this series, it's going to be very quick. I'm going to show you how to create a X and Y axis grid with just scratch paper. Okay, so here we have triangle P, Q, and R, right? And each of the coordinate points are listed here. I've also listed them here in X and Y. And like the test question wherein it gives you, you don't get X and Y, you only get these values. You're supposed to know. The first one's X, the second one is Y. Okay, so the original is here. P is 1 and 2, Q is 3 and 3, R is 2 and 4. Now, they ask you to translate this triangle, each point or vertice on the triangle, 2 units to the right, 1 unit down. So each point here is going to go 2 units to the right and 1 down, just like you saw in the last video, right? 2 to the right, 1 down. What does that mean? That means I add 2 to the x-axis. So each x value gets added 2, okay? 1 unit down. That's a -1 along the y-axis. So I'll subtract from my y values just 1. Okay? And that takes care of my translation. In a moment, I'm going to show you how to reflect. So let's take a look. 1 plus 2 is 3. 2 minus 1 is 1. Okay, vertice Q. 3 plus 2 is 5. 3 minus 1 is 2. Vertice R. 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. So again, translation is just moving. It's moving to the left, the right, the left, translation up, translation down. You're taking each point and you're just moving it with the instructions they give you. 2 units to the right, 1 unit down. So each point gets moved 2 to the right and 1 down. 2 to the right, 1 down, 2 to the 1 right, 1 down. Hopefully that helps you. P prime is our new location of this triangle. And I'm showing you that here, right? 3 for X, 1 for Y, that's my P prime. That P with the little 1, P prime, means my first moving of the vertices of this triangle. First, if I had P2, it'd be the second time I moved it. P3 is the third time. So I'm showing you visually here with their new coordinate points as shown above. Hopefully, that hasn't confused anybody. Next, I'm going to show you how to find the reflection over a triangle. So reflection here, it's simply put a mirrored image, right? Reflection is a mirrored image, right? So here I just drew a generic X and Y axis. And I want to show you P, Q, and R, this is not drawn to scale, it's just an example, will be reflected across the X axis, like a mirror image. So if you had this piece of paper and you folded it along the x-axis, you folded it in half, the image on top would fit perfectly reflected on top of the image below. Again, if you fold this paper in half along the x-axis, the image on top would fit perfectly on the image on the bottom. This image has been reflected. And can you see how each R prime, Q prime, and P prime is now in the negative Y value quadrant? That goes to I'm sorry about the shaking. That goes to the test-taking strategy, right? Eliminating all options but C and E, because each of these points, R prime, P prime, and Q prime, are now reflected. And actually, this is X, Y, and Z. The answer is not R prime, Q prime, and P prime. I just spotted my own mistake. This is X, Y, and Z to the answers. It's not drawn to scale. So this is just an example of reflection. Reflecting the image, folding the paper in half along the x-axis would fit perfectly on top of this image. This is reflection, a mirrored image, right? And that's what they're asking you to do with the P prime triangle here. P prime, Q prime, R prime over the x-axis. So I hope I didn't confuse anybody. So each ordered pair, X and Y, stays the same, right? In order to reflect the triangle. So another way to look at this is each of the P prime X values is going to stay exactly the same, right? And so in your options C or E, if you look at option E, they change the X values, right? But the X values in the images, they're all the same. It's the Y values that have changed, right? And I'm going to show you that here. Y value for P prime is 1. Y value for Q prime is 2. Y value for R prime is 3. Now, to change the Y count, what you're going to do is count those Y values to the x-axis, right? Each of those you count. For P prime, you count 1 and then reflect 1 away. So you'll be at -1 along the y-axis, right? You'll be at -1 along the y-axis. Oh, my pens are dying. I need new pens. For the y value of 2, to get down to the x-axis, you count 1, 2 to get to the x-axis, and then you count exactly 2 away. 1, 2. That would be a y value of a -2. -2. Okay. And so for the y value for r prime 3, in order for 3 on the y-axis, which is +3, to get to 0 or to touch the x-axis, you count 3 in a negative direction. 1, 2, 3. And then in order to get from the x-axis to its new reflected location, you count another -3. -3 from 0 is -3. And you have your 3 options for your answer. The answer is C. 3 -1, 5 -2, and 4 -3. If you have any questions that you've been working on for your assessments and you would like to send them to me, please go ahead and take a picture. I'll make a personalized video for you and others. Hey, if I've helped you, you help me. Please like and follow and then share these videos. And any and all donations are will be wonderful and greatly appreciated. If I can talk, I'd be dangerous. Thank you for your time. Math is easy. Take it step by step.